But no, I noticed the sugar bombs because chocolate frosted sugar bombs are Calvin's favorite cereal.
Yeah,
Calvin and
absolutely.
Hobbes.
Yeah, and Calvin Hobbes. Dude, how do I remember that?
I don't know, but quick, what's the quadratic equation? I know we both learned it at some point.
I don't know.
Episode 486 of the TV Dudes, recorded May 9th, 2024. Hacks. This week, we're going to discuss hacks on Max.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I got enough material to roast Zaslav here for a full hour.
Oh.
Like a whole Netflix special worth.
No. The hacks over, not the hacks over at Max. We're just hacks. Like just TV
Okay.
show hacks.
And I think they prefer the term TV producer, but
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, though.
No. This is the show with Gene Smart. Whatever. We'll catch you up. But before all that, I'm Les.
And I'm Nick.
And we're the TV Dudes. This week on our social medias, we've been asking more of the tough questions, and you keep answering. So let's tune in with the TV Dudes.
TV Dudes. Tune in. I even got involved this week.
Yes.
On one of the... Because I found the question actually kind of fascinating. Not that our previous questions weren't. It was like,
I finally did good.
best cop shows and whatnot. But this one was always the... had some thought I had to put in. I'm like, oh yeah, what are actually I should read it word for word. I should let you go first so you read it word for word rather than I don't have it in front of me.
Television missteps? What's the one episode, story arc, or character that didn't quite hit the mark in an otherwise awesome show?
Mm-hmm.
So great show, one bad character, one bad arc, one bad ew.
I think that's an interesting because when I remember shows, I remember a lot of things they did bad, or or flawless.
Mm-hmm.
I every once in a while I'll think that the plane thing I don't think really came together in Breaking Bad season 2, but is it distracting from the whole plot? I don't think so. Honestly, it's just
kind of the experiment doesn't ruin anything, but it didn't. Yeah. You kind of had to go look up online, the fuck was with the plane? But
would I call it bad? I guess, maybe pointless or not, just but not distractingly so. But I also put down, because I always know my answer of oh yeah, Avatar Last Airbender has a pretty famous episode. As far as our Patreons on it, go check out our Patreons. The first season has that Great Divide episode that is universally... Everyone is right. Yeah,
they even make fun of it in the new.
they make fun of it in the Ember Island Players in the third season, which I thought was pretty funny. They're like, hey, there's the Great Divide. All right, let's keep going.
Yeah, just recently I was rewatching iZombie, and this happens every time I rewatch iZombie. I forget that there's one episode that just way oversteps the. Cuteness of the and I
that kindergarten.
I hate the kindergarten episode.
It does break the logic of it.
I run into it like a brick wall, and it's at the wrong moment in the show. It's just far enough into a 5-season show that it breaks me.
I haven't watched iZombie, but I feel like if I were to see some of the other episodes, I would see some of those break the logic of how their thing works.
Way before.
So I wonder why this one in particular hits you hard.
Yeah, this one just feels way out of bounds, and I think it's that it coincides with some other just natural seams in a long show, and it's worth pushing through because the overall mythology gets it all back on track, and you see this great climactic ending that's fucking awesome. But it's hard to push through for a minute. I also I mentioned this a lot. I love Buffy, but I fucking hate Riley.
The Initiative. You don't like it. I get it.
It's stupid.
I
was gonna say the framework on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but.
Mm-hmm. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., man.
And the premise was that it's an otherwise awesome show.
Yeah, honestly, I don't like Adam, the villain of that arc. I think Adam's kind of a boring, dumb villain, but I like the Initiative and Riley.
Yeah, I don't know. Riley's not as bad as I originally.
I'm gonna throw out.
I don't have anything against that.
I'll throw out a controversial one. I think Buffy suffers after the body episode. I don't think they should have done, even though I actually think it's one of their best episodes. Yeah.
Fantastic episode, but it changes the emotional tone of the show in a way that you can't go back.
And Buffy becomes a lot sadder after that.
Yeah.
And not as fun.
And it just can't.
Yeah. And it can't bounce back.
Yeah. I would agree there. I mean, and completely with it. Like, we are not saying the body's not fantastic television.
No.
It's too good in a different way, and it changes the show.
Mm-hmm. In the exact opposite way, there's an awful episode that is right before Willow turns evil.
Mm-hmm.
And Willow turning evil is great. Like, evil Willow is like, whoa, what a great concept and great turn on it. Actress kills it. How they get there is fucking stupid.
Oh yeah, her going to the magic dealer's apartment.
Well, she goes to the magic, like, well, they kill Tara for like shock value, and it's like very early kill your gaze. And that's the episode.
I think
also,
that was
that's
one
the
of
episode
TV
where Spike tries to rape Buffy. Do you remember
Yep.
that?
That is one. I think
A.
Tara's death might be what hipped us all outside of the gay community to that trope happening all the time. And like, once you see it, you can't unsee it in shows. And I think Tara was that for a lot of us.
It led to Evil Willow, and then it led to Insult
Willow's
Spike, which I think is an interesting storyline for Spike. So there's like an episode I'm like, oh yeah, I wish they had not done that episode. But then again, that leads to a lot of
it leads to some great shit.
Like, and The Body's a great episode that I wish they didn't do because it leads to bad stuff. Like,
right. Dennis McElwain said The Wire was a great series until its last season. It had an almost perfect run until the showrunner decided it should be a goofy comedy that didn't feel natural.
Okay.
Anytime there's comedy in the previous seasons, it always felt real and naturalistic. I know I've heard Dennis talk about this before, that like the last season of The Wire like drove him nuts. And I wasn't bothered by it nearly as much. But that's a show that you often hear people talk about as if it is absolutely bulletproof. And it's a reminder that, man, everything's got something. Like, nothing's flawless. There are people out there who think the third season of Ted Lasso sucked.
Yeah. Man, I was trying to think of like, is there a thing in Ted Lasso that I don't like? And the only thing I could come close to is that Psychic ends up being kind of right, but not really.
That's the closest thing to truly pissed off.
But
I don't like the Psychic. That's just because I don't like that.
But even then, they don't really make a meal out of it anyway.
It's kind of like the plane in Breaking Bad. Jennifer Kaufman says it has to be the Landry murder plot in Friday Night Lights. Essentially a perfect series except for that weird detour in season 2. I fully agree. Landry is absolutely adorable in season 1. He's like the greatest bestie on earth. And then in season 2, he is a murderer. He gets away with it. He's a murderer. He straight up murders a dude for Padalecki, I think.
Should I watch Friday Night Lights?
Absolutely. At least the first 2 seasons. Season 1's fucking awesome. I held off watching it for years because I grew up in Texas playing in high school marching band, and I didn't get to watch any of the X-Files because of high school football. I'm not going to spend time watching that show later, I thought. And then I finally did. And it's great. The guy that plays Landry is in everything. That's Jesse Plemons.
Yes.
And so the fun thing now is that like Fanny loves Friday Night Lights. She rewatches it. That's why I watched it. She saw it before she saw Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Landry's an adorable best friend who, oh my God, can you believe he murders a dude in season 2? I saw it years after Breaking Bad, and I spent all of season 1 going, so something's wrong with that kid.
Well,
and she's like, no, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm saying something's wrong with that kid.
Well, honestly, you can
she's
see
like,
where
no, he's not going to kill that dog. I'm like, you can't leave him alone with that dog.
You could see where they got the idea for that character in Breaking Bad, though, because Jesse Plemons is like, we need him to play a murderous bad guy, but
he's a puppy dog,
but affable.
And that's like, he's a puppy dog that you can see how like, oh my God, dude, you murdered that guy.
Honestly, nowadays his characters are normally like really intensely weird and scary. And like the Civil War thing he just did, or even in that Game Night, I thought his character was really weird and off-putting. But I remember him like, no, the insidious thing about him was how friendly. Like, he smiled at that kid in Breaking Bad, like, oh hey kid,
oh man,
blam, and just how.
And like, once you've seen that, going back and watching Friday Night Lights is wild.
Yeah,
but in season 2,
like, this is all an act. This is all an act.
It feels out of. It's something that the show, to me, like, it has to be. You have to just forget that that's out there. Because he's a murderer. Joe Kemphoff says Paul Flowers in Scrubs, and oh my God,
Ricky, who the fuck is?
So
I was going to ask you this. Who is Paul Flowers?
Ricky Schroeder. I assume as an adult he always wants to go by Rick Schroeder. I am 46, and he will always be Ricky Schroeder.
Okay,
from
not
Silver
Dick
Spoons.
Schroeder.
Dick Schroeder. No, that sounds like he's a NASCAR driver. No, this is a guy from Silver Spoons, and
I think I saw him race Cole Trickle.
Right. But he plays a male nurse that falls.
Their team name is Dick Trickle. I know it was late, but it was too good to not throw back in. So
Turd Ferguson.
I know that that joke was a couple seconds too late to be truly effective,
but it worked.
But when I thought of it, like, I can't let it go though.
So he's Rick Schroeder plays a male nurse. Always wears pink scrubs, and he falls for, or Elliot falls for him, and he dates Elliot for an arc. And he's defensive and jealous and shitty, and talks shitty to Elliot, and like show wants it to be like a breakup arc. I mean, like, and they break up and it goes away or whatever, but like, he just doesn't fit the show, and it's like you'd want to yell at, like, Elliot, break up with Elliot.
I've watched all of Scrubs. I can't remember this character.
Yeah, if I showed you a picture of him, you'd be like, I remember that 2-episode arc or whatever the fuck it was. Can't remember how long it actually lasted.
I remember
as soon as I saw the picture of him, I was like, that's right. I like Rick Schroeder, and I was not happy with the role on Scrubs.
I remember the other fucking dude she dated for a minute, like the other resident. The fucking hot kind of Ken looking motherfucker.
Wasn't the Todd. Let's see. John Paul Vitale said, here, the twist in the most recent episode of Sugar was a bit of a misstep, but he hasn't actually watched it yet. He did not like Genevieve's storyline in season 2 of Everything's Gonna Be Okay. She had a relationship with a really possessive dude. And yeah, that's the show that had a misstep for me at the end of season 1, where it had a character be shitty in a way that the show didn't recognize as shitty, and I was like, I don't think I can hang out here anymore.
What was it? Everything's Gonna Be Okay. I've watched this.
That's the
right?
the autistic
little
sister. Their parents die. Their dad dies in the first episode.
That's right.
And the brother's just a maniac. Like, it's nuts. I mean, he's not nuts.
Yes. Well, I mean, honestly, I fell off that because of a thing I just disagreed with, as far as the daughter. Like, they kind of punished her for having a sexuality.
Yes.
Like, I mean, I realize that's not.
She fools around with a guy, and she flat out calls them on it of like, so
she enthusiastically
either I can make these decisions or not.
Yeah.
Like, either I'm an adult here or I'm not.
And we gotta, like, yeah, and then they never resolve that.
Well, and so they, at the very least, I'm still in season 1. They put it on the back burner, and then a couple of episodes later, he gets mad at her, and her sister stops the car they're in, kicks them out, and makes them walk home. And the next thing it cuts to is a time jump where they're apologizing to him. And I was like, I can't.
They are children.
I was like, I can't, dude. I was mad at it. I was so mad.
Oh my god!
I was so mad at the brother that I didn't pick the show up again.
I hate kids. I'll watch your kids fall off bikes all day.
I don't give a fuck about your kids.
But drive them home after they fall off those bikes.
Yeah,
you can't. Oh my god!
And the show had done that once before. I think actually during the sexuality thing, where it was like, they have to finish this conversation, and they time jump ahead and don't.
Yes. Yeah.
And they did the same thing on this other thing, and I was like, okay, that's not a.
That's
once is when, like, twice is a.
Yeah.
Data twice. 3 times as a pattern. Yeah. Like I don't want to.
Well, once is happenstance, twice is coincidence, 3 times is enemy action.
Right. So I was like, I don't know. I might pick it back up, but it does sound like season 2 is going to have a frustrating storyline as well.
Yikes.
I don't know about you, Nick, but all of that puts me in the mood to discuss some watching I did of my own.
The Diaries of the Television Dudes. Brought to you by only the finest cocaine wine.
What did we watch this week that didn't involve child abuse of some form?
Well,
or did, I guess.
Or did, maybe. I don't know. I watch Bob's Burgers. They do put those kids to work. I mean, they don't do good work, but
absolutely,
kids,
yeah.
It's definitely free child labor. Elspeth, the cops are maybe doing something illegal.
Oh, you watched the next episode?
I did. I've kept up with Elspeth.
I'm so behind on Elspeth.
Yeah, she's a cop, I guess. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
They're investigating crimes. It's cute. Crimes. It's a cute show.
I like that idea of, like, if it, Law and Order, they're investigating crimes. On Elspeth, they're investigating crimes.
Yeah. I've also, in prepping for ATX Television Fest, obviously we're going to discuss Hacks in a little bit. It's going to be a Hacks panel.
Mm-hmm.
There's also going to be a Resident Alien panel. I think Tudyk and Chris Sheridan, the show creator, are going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been catching up on Resident Alien.
Another show I fall off on because it just doesn't show up anywhere for a while.
So now that I think that we're going to discuss, Netflix. Like, how do you keep falling off Hacks? How did I keep falling off Hacks? I think it's partly that it's week to week. And I think that was kind of partly maybe what was happening with me on Resident Alien. I don't know. I
You can
fell
only watch
off
it on
of it.
Sci-Fi Channel for a minute.
I waited. Yeah. It's every time I see that sci-fi logo come up, I'm like, so how much squirreliness was involved in getting this on Peacock for me?
Yeah, and then it was like,
Uh,
and then it was on Peacock, but after all of it,
So I
was-
think Hulu has seasons 1 and 2. I think Peacock has
Netflix has them
seasons
all now,
1,
right?
2, and 3.
I saw them on Netflix.
There may be new episodes that are newer than I.
Oh, Netflix has the old episodes, and
I
now
don't
there's
know.
new ones. Oh, okay.
But on
Shit.
Peacock, there's definitely some season 3 episodes. I've missed a bunch of season 2. I'm gonna have to go back and catch up. But just catching up on that show, I forgot how quirky, hilarious it is. How fucking perfect Alan Tudyk is. The season 1 work that they put in establishing to the back corners weird of the town, like every character on the town's fucking weird, is great. And at this point, they've got actor whose name I blank on every single time. From Agent Carter and Dollhouse. Dang it,
Oh,
Enver Jokaj. Gjokaj Jokaj.
I can't believe you never remember this guy's name.
I know it's weird. So he was on Agent Carter. He was in Dollhouse. He's great anytime he turns up, even on shows that aren't necessarily the best. But here he is another alien, and he is as weird and uncomfortable as a human as Alan Tudyk is,
Mm-hmm.
in a completely different way. Like if Tudyk was wildly confident.
That's a fun idea. Yeah.
So like he's a sheriff's deputy and he's wildly confident, like
Mhm.
in every but still ignorant. Like
Sure.
he has no more idea of what the fuck.
I like the idea that Tudyk is trying to be like, is taking it from being inconspicuous and trying hard to not be noticed. And I like the other end of it is just no, like fucking bold confidence. If I know anything about humans, you get by on anything with bold. Just pretend you're right about
Yeah.
everything,
Like
even
the-
what you're wrong about.
And it's like the attitude all the way to the core of the aliens is just of these two is different. It's fucking great.
Honestly, I bet you he's more successful.
I've missed a ton of season 2, which apparently had Terry O'Quinn as an alien tracker.
Great,
Got to go
great
back
stuff.
and see all of that.
Great stuff.
Yeah, I can't believe how quirky funny the show remains in every aspect. Like you can't get up and miss any minutes because there's some line or goofy weird ass thing that Tudyk does or somebody says. But then also the alien mythology of this thing
Mhm.
remains astonishingly cool.
Sure, sure.
Also, Linda Hamilton is on it now.
Yeah, she was the big reveal for the end of season
Yeah.
1. I remember that.
And so she remains on it, and she's fucking awesome. So yeah, I've been enjoying watching more Resident Alien. Lisa and I watched the American Society of Magical Negroes with David Alan Grier and Justice Smith, which is one of the most spectacularly badly rated shows or movies I've seen on IMDb. I think it's got like a 2.6 or something.
Yeah.
Which I don't know that I've
Just
ever
fucking
seen.
IMDB, like, Jesus.
Dude, like
Do you know what you have to
watched,
do to
like-
get below a 5?
right, like strippers versus sharks.
Yeah.
and it, like things like that have higher ratings.
Honestly, though, werewolf strippers did deserve that 6, though.
That's true.
Like, I think it earned that 6.
Yeah.
And I mean that in a positive way. I think it got up there to the 6th level.
So this is not like any kind of like war crime. Like this is not the outright 2 point whatever movie that I thought it was going to be, but it's not clever and funny enough you can't fuck with this premise and not stick this landing. There is no room for error. I have not watched American Fiction, but I get the feeling out of these two movies. American Fiction took a little bit of the same premise, less fantastical. So
Mhm.
this movie feels like a fairy tale, like a fantasy story. There is a American Society of Magical Negroes that David Alan Grier is a member of, and they monitor white distress and calm white people down. And every year that they've been in existence, black life expectancy has gone up. And basically he spends the movie trying to sell the audience and Justice Smith on being part of this group, that it's like a good thing to be.
Right.
And you're sitting through he makes the speech like 3 times in the first 2 acts.
So I can only hope that the ultimate message of that is that that's fucked up, and that we should not do that.
It is,
but it doesn't hit it hard enough.
No. No, they don't. They're so, dude, hitting it hard enough. Like, this movie would have needed to go out on a holy shit divisive note, like Sorry to Bother You. And at no point does this have the bite or the edge of like Sorry to Bother You at any point.
Yeah.
It's frequently funny because it's awkward as fuck, and David Alan Grier's hilarious, and Justice Smith is dude's in a lot of shit right now. He's always good. But it just doesn't do enough to fuck with this at all. Like, it can't bring this up, this basic problem. Like, they've got like a collective magic, and like basically if he does get mad and go against helping out Drew Tarver, the white guy he's supposed to help out, it'll fuck up the magic for all of them.
Weird collective. Okay.
So there's a like, hey man, I don't care what you want to do. You fucking let that go and shut up.
Yeah, but then don't recruit me then, I guess.
I don't know. It's not. I almost had to watch anything with that bad a rating just to see what the shit. And it's not that bad, but it's not that great. And by bringing up this topic and being just meh, I can kind of see why people were like, fuck with
fire. Sure.
Yeah. You can see why people were outsized mad.
Well, out of the two premises, you should definitely go with the one that has Jeffrey Wright in it.
Absolutely. And it's way less fantastic.
I think that's a good rule of thumb for any. They don't call him Jeffrey wrong.
No,
mostly because it's not his name.
A lot of this movie's tension and humor and edge comes from the pure fairy tale fantasy tone of it, juxtaposed against the subject matter. And like so that there's a lot of moments of like, they almost get it. They're gonna pull the knife and go for it now. And like, nope.
And I can only imagine how awkward it would be, considering you are, and I'll put this mildly, chronically white. And I'm, no offense here, I'm terminally white. If it's that awkward for you, like, what is it for a minority group? Like, how's that work?
I don't know.
How does that play?
Yeah, I don't know anyone else who's seen this movie.
Hence the two fucking on IMDb.
Right. We also went and watched Fall Guy, which we'll discuss on Patreon, and could not be further away from the movie I just described. Let's see. Also kept up on Ghost, which had its season finale. I think you watched the season finale of it with me.
Yes.
Where Pete goes traveling. Which that was pretty fun. Ghost remains cute. Love that sitcom. I had rewatched The Offer because, man, I can't believe I like the show about making The Godfather more than I actually like The Godfather even. Lisa and I went to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure at the big screen on Alamo.
Great stuff.
Man, if I were the owners of that property at this point, fuck history, I would edit out the no homo gay joke that they do in each movie.
Sure.
There's one moment, and it's not because of anything particularly Bill and Ted, it's just because of 1988 and 1991 or whatever. It's just if you had two bros hug in a movie, they were going to jump apart and go, ooh, I'm straight.
Oh yeah.
And they happen to pick a word that we would not say now.
But if we start that though, if we do it for Bill and Ted, then we got to do it for, every movie in the 90s that they show.
That's true. And I think you'll be judged on
like, where do we start?
How far below 90 minutes is your movie now?
And then we have to go, where do we start? And where do we stop?
Right.
Of like, what do we honestly, I would just do the Disney, like, yeah, some of this isn't going to be great, going to age great.
It is literally the one thing, like, the crowd didn't gasp, but it was definitely a like, oh, I forget every time that line's there.
I'm of the opinion that you don't need to take out the red man is red from Peter Pan, but you do have to like set me up for it. Shouldn't take me by surprise.
Yeah.
Like I do appreciate the heads up.
A little bit of a trigger warning of like, hey, in the middle of this, they're gonna say a 1988 period appropriate, but still fucking strange to hear.
Like
in
when I
comedy.
sit down to a cartoon about aristocratic cats, I need to know like, oh, but there's a crazy racist yellow scare Siamese casted. I would not have guessed that. Thanks for the heads up, Disney.
Like, otherwise, like, what the fuck is with this 10-minute segment? Yeah. At least in Bill and Ted, it is literally one line, and basically it serves to make you go, Oh, the late 80s and 90s.
Man, it is rare to find a movie that doesn't like. It's a rare find to find the movie that just doesn't do that.
I will always remember watching mid 90s.
I would take there's
in
a
the theater at Fantastic Fest and
Teenage
everybody
Mutant
being
Ninja
stunned.
Turtles movie, the TMNT
Mhm.
first 90s movie, almost perfect. There is a line in there where they tell Elias Cotier that like, "Oh, you're claustrophobic," and he goes, how dare you? I've never even looked at another guy."
Right. Right, which is actually still better handled than
Which-
99% of 80s movies.
Which is, I mean, it's still a kids movie, so you know they can't
I'll
I'll fuck you up the ass.
because I because I heard that they're going to cancel Lower Decks after next season. I went back and watched a couple of first season episodes of Lower Decks.
I'm so conflicted. On one hand, I'm like, no, Lower Decks forever. But I've recently I've seen Young Justice basically kind of sour me on that whole, not even just that, but like premise. I don't even want to watch like a Teen Titans thing now. And Harley Quinn.
Right.
Which I was like, oh, yeah, maybe
so
go
now
out.
things shouldn't run forever.
Go out, man, go out on a high note, man.
That's kind of where I am too, of like, well, okay,
Even
all
though
right,
that means,
I'll concede that maybe Lower Decks should end, but what are you replacing?
yes.
Disco's also ending, and I'm scared that we're going to get a replacement Disco type show,
Well, honestly,
and
this
I'm not
one,
going to have anything like Roller Decks, and
Dude,
the
this
Orville's
one-
gone.
this one is a way easier one to do a revival or a reunion.
Mhm.
Like voice shit is always easier to do. But so rarely do they do it because it just costs more on animation usually. But since Star Trek's such an expensive,
Yeah, I'll be in
Promise.
a nursing home watching Lower Decks 24.
Mhm.
I'll be like, this moves too quick. What's with the plot? The dialogue's weird.
but that means we won't have. I wanted to get to a point where that we would at least have half the show with T'Lyn in it.
Right,
Like,
right.
uh,
I want it to run long enough that it's like Parks and Rec, where you think Adam Scott was on that show the whole time, and he
Yes.
was not.
no,
Or Rob Lowe was on that show the whole time, and he's not.
right. But there's like it's but in the grand scheme of things, he's mostly on it.
Right.
Like,
And that's where I want T'Lyn to be. Also, speaking of cartoons we all love, we started rewatching My Adventures with Superman a little bit.
Oh yeah, it was all a lot of animation for me this week.
Well, we've got that coming out later this month, season 2 with Supergirl.
I think
Krypton is coming.
Supergirl at one another thing I'm conflicted on. Like, man, feels early in the we just got into Superman and how he works. Feels early to hit Supergirl. But then I'm like, yeah, but with Max, like, hey, this might be your last
No.
season.
And I'm
Did you
kinda
want to
wondering
do
if they're gonna-
Supergirl?
I'm kind of wondering, since he was scared to read to learn from his ship. I'm kind of wondering if they're gonna have Supergirl show up and explain some shit to him.
Sure.
Like, hey, no, so you know why we're strong here, right?
Well, honestly, if she shows up, she should not be able to speak English because that
Right.
was the whole thing. Is that he can't understand what his dad says because it's all fucking
It's all in Krypton.
Kryptonese.
Kryptonese.
Sure.
Sure.
Man, I watched that it takes until the Mitsapitalik episode, which is like right before.
Smooth, man. Props.
It took a while to get the name. It took a while to get the name down. But if you say it fast and confidently, and don't think about it.
No,
Don't
you
think
cannot
about it.
think about it.
Don't think about it.
It's when my brain pauses for just a
Mitsapitalik.
moment and I go,
Don't think about it at all.
Mitsapitalik.
Don't think about the fact that you're swimming. Like, don't think about breathing. It takes until that episode, which is like 7 episodes in, and he mentions Krypton offhand, and Clark goes, "Krypton? Is that where I'm from?" And I realized, like, shit, he doesn't even know the name of the fucking planet.
He knows nothing.
He doesn't, I forget how different.
Well, because it looks like it's about to hurt his parents or something, or he gets scared and he shuts that ship down. And
Well, it is scary.
I thought that was great.
I thought it was
Honestly,
really smart.
Wow, we're going to talk about X-Men 97 in a bit.
Oh, man.
and you were
man.
talking about things playing and things not playing. The moment where that small farm boy who just found out he's an alien gets pants-shittingly terrified of the spaceship
Mm-hmm.
and shuts it down before it hurts his farm parents, totally bought it.
Yeah.
It made total sense to me. And it also sets up a beautiful ignorance thing running in the background where he doesn't know anything about himself.
Well, and he has to confront that later when
Right.
he finds this same
All of that
tech.
worked.
It's how to do the Superman story differently while having it remain pretty much true to character.
So what other cartoons did you watch?
I watched because my D&D group didn't get together again this week, you bunch of fucking flakes. It's okay that none of them listen to this. Unless you do, well, then again, you know who I'm talking about, Kyle.
It's gonna give you an out and be like, it's definitely not you.
Now I'm really calling my shot. if he listens, it's gonna be pretty bad. I think I'm fine. But I watched the D&D movie and I watched Vox Machina to basically just to get caught up back on that. I think D&D, it's shocking to me that it's taken so long for D&D to get into the licensing game. They just, licensed out it for Baldur's Gate 3 and the D&D movie, and I guess they did for the D&D cartoon. They did earlier. But like, yeah, this is a great fucking premise and shit to tell your story. And I guess it's because you don't actually have to, like, Vox Machina bends over backwards not to use beholders and shit that D&D actually has a copyright on. So I guess maybe there's been other competitors that don't need to use your licensing, so they just never got into the game about it.
Yeah, well, it is as cool as it is to have like this shared background world that fans can kind of come into. It's also going to be a little bit MCU style boxing in of like, well, but your movie can't burn Waterdeep down.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I guess you got to work with wizards, which I don't think is a great experience.
Of the
I'm
coast,
just gonna guess.
Not just guys in pointy hats.
I mean, I bet you. Like, no, I stand by it. Wizards suck.
Yeah.
Sorcerers
of the coast. Those guys study.
Like, yeah, whatever. Warlocks for life.
Do I have that backwards?
There's
some guys that are book learning and some guys that are seat of pants.
I'm a packed man myself. All right. I couch Eldritch Blast or nothing. I don't need any other spells. All right.
So you kept up with the Vox Machina D&D movie, and looks like after Danny's recommendation last week, you actually
Danny
went and watched
Doggett. Hey, Danny. Thank you. Danny, you are a prince among men for introducing me to Go-Go Loser Ranger. The
premise of this is so fun.
The premise is so good, and they don't fuck it up. At least not yet. There's only 4 episodes out now.
Yeah, I think he'd said he was going to add it. Basically, it was got itself added to his rotation. So I assumed it was pretty new.
It's pretty new, yeah. Like
it's not like a One Punch Man amount of.
Yeah. It's not even a One Punch Man amount of One Punch Man. Fucking takes forever between seasons of that. But Go-Go Loser Ranger, Danny already mentioned it, so I won't go totally into the premise, but yeah, the boys style take on the Power Rangers Sentai team is really fun to see it from one of the foot soldiers' perspectives and how they run it like a business. Like it engenders your sympathies to the bad guys because they lost decades ago and are like, well, you can stick around and fight us once a week, as long as you get, because the world needs to feel like it needs us, and then we can, get fucking promotional deals and
if there was a Pacific Rim where they just made a deal to have like Monster Fight Olympics around the big vortex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, it allows you to have like they don't call them Power Rangers, they're keepers, Dragon Keepers, I think is what they are. And it allows you to have those guys who they all 5 of them have varied reasons for wanting to stay powered.
Yeah, like one of them is like Professor X, like can only walk in the power suit.
I snuck a look at some later episodes coming up, and one of them is like the Pink Ranger is in a wheelchair, which means that this is the first Power Rangers property or Sentai property that has had a ranger that has been paraplegic or just anywhere differently able,
or however,
in a wheelchair. Damn it, fucking which I thought was like, that's crazy. There's how many seasons of Power Rangers? That's impossible. They've definitely done one. Like, that's too good of a story to do. Like, without,
oh my God. Yeah.
Like, oh, you get to walk, but only when you're fighting monsters. Like, when like, oh, well, I better like keep it invested like that. I better keep monsters around to fight.
Right. Like always
forever.
To fight a little bit. Yeah.
So that I can fight a little. Like, man. Normally, when I see a premise this good, I have to inevitably just be like, well, can't wait for this to shit the bed. And this could. It's only been 3 episodes
Mhm.
so far. But so far, it's interesting, funny, and it has a great sense of lore and stakes. Like, I'm actually interested in the world that they reveal little by little.
Does this happen where live act like is there any possibility of this being adapted into a live action? Like, does that ever
Sure.
happen with?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I know that happens. Netflix did it with.
Well, Netflix did not only that, but they
One
do
Piece and shit.
what was it? Mike did fucking JoJo's Bizarre
Oh, that's
Adventure.
right. That's right. There's a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because man, I watched some of this just kind of walking through the room, and the animation's fun and the monster designs are cool. Like it's even the lore behind why the monsters look ridiculous is fun.
Yes,
It's
the
really-
fucking tiger truck.
Tiger truck thing, because they just don't.
They don't
know
know
that
what
much.
a tiger is.
They can't leave their
their
lair.
lair, so
and they
they've
don't
never
really know anything about Earth, and they just have to keep. But at this point, it's been years, and they're out of monsters. Yeah,
they just
it's
they're out of
great. It's
ideas.
but I immediately wanted to see this dumb shit done in giant foam
Ma-
Sentai.
Yeah.
Like, I want full Power Ranger cheesiness.
I feel like they didn't.
There's a risk.
You have to realize, Les, that Japan takes Sentai way more seriously than us. It would. I don't want to say that it would be like people would. There's been parody Ranger stuff before.
But this
Like-
isn't exactly parody. This is turning
This-
the concept inside out.
Yeah, this is darker and more adult. Is not right.
The first time in the like 70s, 80s when we started having a like your hero, but what if he was evil?
Yes, but Sentai hasn't really.
Right.
We hasn't done that a lot yet.
What
so
if
it's,
your Rangers sucked?
yeah. Honestly, there's like, yeah, they were going through their 90s edgelord phase.
Right.
But
I'm so sorry, Japan. It's not going to be great.
so I think maybe they were like, but no, parodies and comedies, that's animation. We can do that in a more irreverent way and not catch as much flack from the Sentai community.
Yeah.
At least that's maybe it's just a monetary thing. Maybe it's just
cheaper to do it.
maybe they just
Less
came
risk.
the concept came down and it was just like it's cheaper to do it that way. But honestly, it was probably just a manga first, and then like they just I don't think they ever change. Do they just change manga into live action? I bet you they do. Honestly, I don't know. That's a fucking interesting question.
And then separately, we both watched X-Men 97, which is the penultimate episode. I don't want to go too much into it because next week we are going to do another full big X-Men 97 episode with a special guest, TV dude himself, Kyle Scott. Not the same Kyle.
Not the
Nick
Kyle
was-
I was
that
shitting
Nick
on
was complaining
before.
about earlier. So we'll have an extra TV dude here, and we'll discuss X-Men 97 in total next week. For me, this episode had some fucking cool moments, but also did all of the things. It's really galvanizing and like crystallizing all the things that are annoying me this whole season. It's moving it's bringing to a conclusion storylines that move too fast and don't have emotional resonance. But I'm watching these ending moments. Like it's like watching Mary Lou Retton stick a landing, but she did not do a routine. She just like walked to the end.
No, but trust me,
And
she
threw
did
her
though.
arms out.
She told you how she was gonna do it.
Right,
Isn't
right.
that the same thing?
And like that's a little bit what this feels like. Like these are it's I don't know. You said earlier it was like reading the Wikipedia of X-Men.
Yeah, it's you have to take their word on relationships that happened and arguments and feuds that have developed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, our feud ends.
Except for Jean
What
and Storm,
feud?
they're in love. I totally buy that
Jean
relationship.
And Storm totally works
Yeah.
and has less screen time than some of the other
Yeah,
relationships.
Omega Sisters.
And I'm going to go back
for
and
life.
I'm going to go back and watch their scenes and figure out why. Like, why does their shit work when they can't seem to get
right.
it together with the other shit? And maybe
Also, Beast does take a Sentinel hand on a long cable, not the guy, but like an actual metal cable, and
slap
just
him.
slaps the shit out of a Sentinel. It's fucking
Do you
awesome.
remember Beast's sort of girlfriend died last episode?
Yeah.
The show doesn't.
X-Men.
like you said, they can't catch up Xavier on the fact that this Jean Grey isn't really
Man,
bad. Like,
no
right?
one
Like,
ever stops.
nah, whatever.
Like Xavier has a whole thing of explaining to Scott and Jean that I left so that you two could have time with your baby, and I'm like, but she was never pregnant.
So this is all, since this is his penultimate episode, this is where a lot of turns happen. Like, a lot of stuff has to pay off now. And it's not like the show is getting worse. Like, I've seen this come and happen in a lot of shows we watch of like, no, it's not that the show is getting worse. It's just that they had all the episodes beforehand, they had like, oh, well, I have to give them the benefit of the doubt of this might pay off later. This might come together.
You know in the back of your mind, like you're running out of episodes.
Yeah. So, and this is the one where
We
when it
fought
finally
Mojo for an episode,
where it finally
half an
comes
episode.
together. Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, all of Storm and Forge ended up being fucking pointless, and I was like, oh, I regret my wish. I was just have Storm show up at the end, I guess. Never mind. The Morph turning in the Hulk is cool.
Yes.
The fight's cool, but I don't feel anything. Like Jean is supposed to be like, oh wow, Jean is killed by her son.
I think
sort
they're
of.
hiding a ball that Jean. I think they think they're hiding a ball that Jean's dead this episode. But we're the penultimate episode. Jean's not. Even if she's dead next episode, she's X-Men dead. She's not dead.
She
Come
doesn't.
on.
Nah, fuck you. Even
But,
Roberto,
she's not going to be.
Sunspot gets a costume, and they don't
It's not a
make a moment out of it.
No.
Why?
The better moment for Sunspot, the only great moment for Sunspot this season for me, is him going with Magneto, and his explanation is, you can't possibly try to talk me into loving humans. My parents
Is that why
gave me up.
Is that why they didn't make a moment out of it? Because he's going to go join the Brotherhood immediately?
God, give him 2 moments.
Well, then why does he wear an X-Men costume at all?
Right. Like, I like set.
But if he's going to go off
so
of the Brotherhood, he shouldn't have it then
tee
yet.
up his moment. Give him the costume and him be like, not entirely sold on the like, so we help humans because like they didn't help me, and like,
Yeah. But I was just supposed to put on, they don't give really a reason for it, but they put on the old costumes, and that's cool.
yeah, I do love seeing it, but this doesn't. They don't.
But
give a
like
reason
everything
for it.
else, like, what a cool moment. There's no reason for
The
it.
mansion's destroyed, but man, the mansion's always destroyed.
And yeah, they try and make you like, oh, this was once a haven, and like all the characters are sad about it. And I intellectually get why this is sad for you, but I can't feel it because the X Mansion is always half destroyed.
Honestly, I don't know why everything above ground's not a hologram, and that you don't have the entire mansion
It
underground.
feels like it would save
It
time.
would save so much money.
We would save a lot.
Get Forge on it.
But yeah, a lot of stuff is just, saying it happened rather than actually having it happen. Like, we finally put an end to our feud, Magneto said to Wolverine, even though I'm like, wait, did you two hate each other specifically more than the other people around here?
And because there's been decades of conflicting X-Men comics, there's a part of my brain that's just like, I'm sure in some arc
Dude,
somewhere.
I don't even mean in X-Men comics. I mean in just the
In this
90s
show?
in the
Absolutely not.
90s cartoon. I'll give you even the episodes
Even the
before
previous
seasons.
I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
That said, I'm gonna watch the fuck out of it next week.
Sure.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's not flawless to me. Speaking of not flawless, I think the last thing that we watched this week on our list, John Mulaney has a Netflix talk show, like a late night, like Carson type show that ran live all this week. I believe the last night is tonight that we're recording.
Well,
we did not watch last night's. John Paul said it was the weakest so far.
Yeah, John Paul Vitale, who I now officially want to nickname JPV, just because it
JPV,
sounds
it's
like,
easier.
well, I mean, it's easier and it sounds like he's infecting us, which he does. Every once in a while, he touches us with a show request, and we have to like wash ourselves later and get a
That's just the
prescription.
big dog sandwich noise that I'll hear in my sleep forever.
Like, what happened to you? Like, my JPV flared up this weekend. I watched a lot of John Mulaney's new show, and this is
it's a little bit of a slow motion car wreck. Like on the one hand, I couldn't quite look away.
I don't know
it's
because I don't
deeply
know
uncomfortable, and I don't know what it's supposed to be doing.
because I don't know what the actual goal of the show is. I don't know if it's failing.
I am pretty sure the actual goal of the show is that John Mulaney has, I think, a 2-year-old at home. And I saw somebody post that like this whole show has big dad of a 2-year-old needing to get out of the house for any fucking reason. Oh shit, honey, did we have a sleep regression? Because I got my Netflix show this week.
It's got to be now. It's live.
Right. Right. It's live. It's got to be right now. So
Can't push it. the they get some great guests though, Patton
Man, it's,
Oswalt and
Jerry Seinfeld. Like it's during Netflix is a joke, the Comedy Fest, or it's a Comedy Fest, run by Netflix. So obviously shows on Netflix. Mulaney's got to get some kind of deal with them, and so it's all just people dropping by, supposedly, like that are in town for this Netflix is a joke thing. So you got like Nate Bargatze, Mae Martin, Gabriel Iglesias, Jerry Seinfeld, a bunch of comedians, but then they also take a topic every week. Coyotes,
LA specific,
Palm Tree, and it's very LA in jokes, LA specific. Will Ferrell shows up as some kind of LA icon.
Producer, Andy Samberg comes up, like, and there's
Andy Samberg is another LA icon.
Yeah.
You have to.
You have to Google him. If you don't live in LA, you don't know who these fucking people are.
And they're point on, like, it is specific and weird, and I forget how absolutely sharp John Mulaney can be, but also, man, live television is a tightrope.
Well, I can't.
They take calls.
Some of the interviews go. That one with Ricky, what's his name? The like entrepreneur.
Oh, Ray J.
Ray J. That's right.
Oh, that was weird.
And I'm like, I just want to go to John after every segment and go, did that go the way you wanted?
Well, what was your goal there?
Like, what you were trying to do there?
Jon Stewart has no idea what to do when the Samo.
What the fuck is that?
He about came up off the couch. They've got one of the little delivery bots that drives around every once in a while. Basically, anytime they take a phone call, the bot drives around and they just get sodas instead.
Yeah.
Ginger ale. It's not just for sick. I'm glad he did it. Like, it's cool. I'm kind of glad Netflix tried this. It's so fucking weird.
It's so weird and surreal. There's a whole segment where a guy is fishing in the LA River that I feel ends prematurely because the guy actually catches a fish.
I think they had more bit.
I feel like they had more bit there and decided to cut it because the guy actually caught a fish.
100%. 100%.
I feel like that's how that happened.
People don't realize.
I don't. But also the MVP of that show is Richard Kind.
Absolutely. His announcer, doing the big announcement voice, is Richard Kind. And he, the first episode, they leave his mic live the whole time, and he just giggles through it.
He giggles great. Like you gotta,
But then later, man, he jumps in for bits that are just bizarre. I so want the Richard Kind party conversation starter kit.
Yes. Even though I know those are blank. Those are blank.
Blank. Right. I don't care. If I still worked at a printing shop, I'd be making one right now.
Who was the journal? Tracy, the journalist Zoe. The journalist that was in the helicopter that chased OJ.
Yes,
they were holding court,
dude. They were on point. They were hilarious. They also had Marsha Clark, and man, Zoe about destroyed Marsha Clark a couple times.
A whole fucking couch full of comedians, and this was the funniest person.
Yes.
Like it was. Yeah, I had to tip my hat.
Yeah, fantastic. That one was fun. That's the.
Gabriel Iglesias barely speaks because I feel like he doesn't understand the
second
phone
episode?
Conversation.
Or third?
Actually, we might not have finished that one, but they take calls.
I did finish out that one to watch the Warren G performance.
Yeah.
Yes.
They take calls, and I don't think Gabriel Iglesias realized that he
could.
Well, I mean, like all your mics are hooked, but Jon Stewart leans over to talk into it. I'm like, your mic, you don't
have to lean towards that phone.
But I'm like, whatever, John.
There's no way in hell that phone is on an actual speakerphone.
No, that can't be how it works. It would all be what? What?
Right. There's no way.
There's no way that's how it's set up. But everyone thinks that how it is. So Gabriel Iglesias doesn't talk during the whole thing.
Though he jumps up with his own phone and runs to the side stage to watch Warren G perform Regulate, because that's obviously the song Warren G's going to do.
Fucking A, yeah.
And they even asked Jon Stewart, they're like, you had Warren G on The Daily Show, didn't you? He's like, yeah, it was like 1994, 95. It's like, what song did you do? Regulate.
Fuck yes, they did.
It was like 2000 something. Wasn't that really? That would have been Craig Kilborn. But
honestly, Regulator, we riot.
Right. And but man, Gabriel Iglesias is a Warren G fanboy and lives in the same neighborhood like where Warren G's from, and like
amazing
and like geeks out. He comes and sits back down and is like, so you're Mulaney, your producer told me that I needed to calm down and come sit back down, and I just had to look at your producer and tell him that's Warren fucking G.
It's Warren G. You can go fuck yourself. I will burn this bridge. Also, like the tightrope, like there is a thing like I will watch more of this, the tightrope energy of like being live on a thing that sometimes sometimes I feel like everyone on stage forgets, and then every once in a while they come in stark reality that they have no control over what's about to happen.
Right.
And one of those times is whenever they call a person, and I think Jerry Seinfeld was on one and was shocked that the story was worth listening to. But the story at one point is a woman who's talking about her a coyote that somehow got up on top, like came to her like on the second floor. And but then it also grabbed my dog, and you could see on everyone's face that like, oh shit. If she tells us that this dog died in this story, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, how vetted is this phone call before?
They have all got to be vetted, but
like,
but they didn't listen to that story.
No,
like, and you can't control all of that. Like,
seriously, how?
Because you could see in John Mulaney, you could see honestly in all the comedians, because they know this might kill the room. Like we can't, we might not be able to recover from this. No. Oh my god.
So the edited down off the live pre-taped ones are now over on Netflix. I definitely want to go watch last night's, whether it was best or worst. It's just they do have a weird tightrope energy. If possible, I may try to watch tonight's live. I think it's the last one tonight. There is something about I watched one live. There is something about watching them live.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's just fun. Change up and return to how TV was. Like
sure.
when Netflix broke off the last 2 of that Stranger Things season, so that there would be some way for you to discuss this at work.
Yes.
If you didn't have time to binge 8 hours of this tonight.
Uh-huh.
And I thought that was kind of fucking brilliant. So I'm glad that there are some streamers that are hopefully more do this, playing around with the formatting and how this works. Because man, we're in a new world of TV. It doesn't have to stay the same. It clearly didn't.
Yeah. I mean, don't break it up by weeks, physical 100. But like, I'm okay with like week to week viewing.
Right. No, that physical 100 drove me nuts with that shit. What the fuck? Well, now feels like a good time to mention that if you haven't joined us over on patreon.com/tvdudes, you can throw down $1 an episode and get bonus content every single
$1
week.
a week?
Yes.
And they get content like what?
Well, you can go check out one of them. There's a freebie from the Patreon, Abigail, where
right.
Nick and I went and saw the movie Abigail.
We gave you a free one now,
and we threw that down for free. Right now,
to give you a little taste.
How so much stuff in the movies, or so much stuff in cinema. We've been going to the movies almost every week and catching something. This week we'll be talking about The Fall Guy.
We're the TV dudes, but we like to get out and into the sun to watch other shit.
I mean, what is TV? It's certainly not things in the cinema.
To watch things with other humans, but silently and never talking to them.
Yes. We leave and come home and then we talk about them.
I know that doesn't sound distinctly different than what we regularly do, but it is and isn't sad.
It is. The things we watch are longer and the episode is shorter. Let's see.
But yeah, you also can, up your pledge to include the show running level.
That's right.
There's different levels, of course. You have you can get your review read on the air. Or if you just want to support the show, that's like totally your prerogative. But there's also a $20 level called the showrunner level.
Yes.
And what you do on the showrunner level is that you run the show. It's pretty aptly named.
Doesn't have to be ongoing. You throw your $20 down one time.
Mm-hmm.
You can change your tier back to whatever it was before. And for your $20, you pick the show.
Danny Doggett has a great anime recommendation for us, considering he was just talking about Go-Go Ranger. He's suggesting we watched Mob Psycho 100. Fuck you, Danny. God damn it.
I know nothing about this. That's not a good reaction.
No, it's a regular anime.
Am I
and you're
right?
gonna
that is what he suggested, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just a regular anime though, and you're gonna hate it. Like there's no
we are so. I think most shows prior, we just watched the first 4 episodes or whatever. This time,
watch it be the one you like. Oh my god, why haven't you introduced me to My One Cycle? I will throw this chair at you.
That would really be on brand for me, though.
Why'd you make me watch shit like My Hero Academia?
Do you know I will spend the rest of the year talking about how nobody's ever told me to watch anime before, and fuck all of you.
Honestly, you've just stopped doing it with fucking Brooklyn Nine-Nine because it's fucking ended. It had a finale 2 years ago.
Years ago. I haven't watched Barry yet, but I'll do it there.
I hate you so much sometimes.
This time, we're actually going to watch a selection of 4 episodes from throughout the series that are the best intro episodes.
That is going to be interesting because
we'll see if it is enough to overcome the anime curse.
Danny asked us an interesting question that I think we should answer. Yeah, we do watch, was it 3 to 4?
Mm-hmm.
episodes, and normally we just watch the first three to four. But he asked us a specific question: can you pick and choose?
There are some shows you would never do that to. You wouldn't throw somebody a random 4 episodes out of Breaking Bad.
Right, but there are some you would.
There are some you would.
Like
I would throw the best 4 scrubs.
Like, would you show people the first 4 episodes of Next Generation, or would you pick from the other seasons, like any other season?
Yeah, literally any other seasons.
Like, so I think that's an interesting experiment, and people should know that, because I think that opens up a whole new possibility of getting us into shows we might not otherwise watch.
Yeah. So here in next week, obviously, we're going to talk about X-Men 97's finale, and we're going to have Kyle on the show. The week after that will be Mob Psycho 100. So tune in a couple of weeks to hear that showrunner episode. And you can go over to patreon.com and pick your own. So this week over on Patreon, though, we're, like I said, discussing the new Emily Blount and Ryan Gosling movie, The Fall Guy.
Damn it, you beat me to it. I was going to go, the one starring Emily Blount?
Yes, and Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, you will not get that joke unless you get the unless you pay for the
head
Patreon.
Over to patreon.com/tvdudes and sign up for a bucket episode.
There's your incentive.
Yeah, find out what the fuck I'm talking about. For our main course this week, let's get to laughing with the gang on Hacks.
Deborah, after your special, your career's never been hotter. Did you ever think you'd be back on top?
Yes.
Deborah's here.
You're here?
She hired new writers.
You know what? She hired 2, which is actually a compliment, isn't it? She had to replace you with 2 people. Wow.
I'm not ready to see her. Can you hold the door? This isn't the same as before. No more jokes about my physical appearance.
Oh, come on. Now, those are grandfathered in.
What's up, Josefina?
Ava, do you need me to give your hair CPR because it is limp and lifeless?
No workaround.
I've got all these eyes on me now. I'm finally respected. Anything I want to do, I have to do now.
Full body chills. Feel goosebumps.
No.
I was perfectly content being a gorgeous Vegas comic, and then you come along and you make me want more for myself.
So you're mad at me for pushing you to be better?
Yes!
Now,
with Joan Smat.
Hacks. Damn it. Hacks is an American comedy drama television series created by Lucia Aniello. Premiered May 13th, 2021 on HBO Max. It stars Jean Smart, Hannah Einbinder. The series received critical acclaim, won accolades. It is a show about Deborah Vance. Jean Smart plays Deborah Vance, a legendary Las Vegas stand-up comedy diva who needs to reinvent her aging act to avoid losing her residency. Hannah Einbinder plays Ava, a young comedy writer who is unable to find work due to an insensitive tweet and her decently earned reputation for being self-centered and arrogant. Ava's agent sends her to work for Deborah. They kind of hit it off. I don't know. By season 2, she's sued. Deborah's suing her. But they click in the writing style. Deborah goes out on the road. I watched season 1 and fucking loved it. Watched a couple episodes of season 2. And I don't know why, but for whatever reason, either it being week to week or whatever, I stopped watching.
Yep. I've so far not watched a full season of Hacks.
You and I had the exact same reaction. I started rewatching Hacks. It's going to be at ATX Fest. I think it's going to coincide with the season 3 finale. So I started catching back up.
Good
and
timing.
The immediate realization was, why the fuck am I not watching Hacks? This show is hilarious.
It's so good.
Amazing. It's so good. And it's not that season 1 was weak. The pilot is fantastic. When she chases her down the driveway,
Yes.
we still talk about that moment every once in a while. It is
it's great.
fucking great. And and at the end of season 2, there's another fantastic, like, huge arc growth moment where a character gets to stay kind of a mean bitch but also grow. It's remarkable television.
Well, to spoil season 2 going forward, but we're talking about season 3. Season 2 ends with what on a lot of shows might be the end arc,
like series finale.
In series finale, where Vance fires Ava.
Yes,
to have her go do her own thing.
And we've seen Vance be hyper competitive. There's an episode in season 2 where she runs into a female stand-up comic that she was doing contests with and stuff back in the day when they were first starting out. And you find out that Deborah straight up erased that woman's name off a finalist list. And she just didn't. She thought she didn't advance. She did. Deborah erased her name. And like, that's how competitive she is. And so for her to push Ava out and say, no, instead of working for me, you go out and compete with me, is a huge growth moment.
Yeah.
Which is not how Ava sees it. Ava sees it as, I got you to the mountaintop and this is your victory lap and you're throwing me out of the fucking car for the victory lap.
Is not unnecessarily wrong. And what I would say the opening of this season proves to me too is that no, you were right in firing her. I truly believe that was actually the best move for both of you.
Because Ava's not at home unemployed; she's having plenty of job opportunities.
No, she's working on the this new show
like
that's
a Jon
really
Stewart type show.
Like this, that's supposed to be really good. Like it's a big deal. But where I have to agree with Ava is the fact that like, yeah, but that still doesn't explain why you didn't text me for 9 months and. Because
and it's bad enough, it fucks Ava up enough that you find out that like her girlfriend made her go to couples counseling over just shutting up about it.
Because they were friends, and not only friends, but like a very mentor. Like Ava really respects Smart,
and thought they'd gotten to a place. And ironically, them getting to a place is what
triggers
what triggered it.
And what I like about this season is kind of showing how it's easy to fall back into toxic patterns and relationships.
Yes.
In the fact that the moment Jean Smarts gets to thinks she might have the honestly it's cool that she gets to guest host on that show that she
I love finding
lost out on
when her agent's like, I don't know. This is the 4th time you've said no to being on basically like on Carson or on Leno.
I do love that the agent has more of a backbone this season because he just calls her out on like, well, if I'm not funny as a guest, people will go like, well, she can't even make it as a guest. Of course she couldn't host.
And he's like, you kill it every time. This is ridiculous.
And he goes like, it's kind of lame of you.
I'm hearing it out loud. It's fucking weak.
Like this, and I was like, damn, dude.
It's great. Also, that they have upped them to full cast.
Yes,
because his assistant, who's his partner now in the thing because they're running it off for trust fund.
I'm quitting too. No, you're not.
No, you're not. Stop helping me.
Just stop helping me.
She is absurdist, insane Lindsay.
Yes.
And she's in that pantheon of characters of like just crazy friend. And I cannot take my eyes off of her. The shit that comes out of her fucking mouth.
They're off on their own thing this season, trying to
I'm trying to sign that guy.
Well, oh my God. Well, they're trying to woo Helen Hunt.
Yes.
Into
who's like the head of the network.
Who's like the head of the network, so that like Deborah will get the
the guy that she replaces for one episode on the show. She finally agrees to that late night show. The guy gets sick and she guest hosts it, which is the show that she thought she was going to get back in the fucking 90s or whatever.
But also they were trying to work her before then too. She's just a great network and connection.
But like that dude's retiring now.
Yeah.
And she's one of the few that knows it.
And man, you gotta respect that because they've upped his. He was always effective, but now that he's full cast, it seems like he's really like his pitch for Deborah is good.
Yeah.
Like his pitch for you want to replace the other guy with some 20 to like 23-year-old whatever. Like no one in your audience is below 30. Like
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Do people like that guy? Sure. My mom doesn't know who he is, right? But you know who my mom does know? Deborah.
You want a 20-year-old running Blue Bloods?
Like,
no.
And he's like, Deborah Vance like sold like 4 million physical DVDs. She's the queen of
her
the
hawking that on her QVC was fucking awesome.
She's the queen of people of the demographic that can't figure out how their TVs work.
Right.
Like which is your audience on a late night show. And I was like, shit, I'm fucking sold,
dude.
Like,
damn. Because no lie, I don't watch Leno.
Like man, his science is tight. I don't know what Helen Hunt's deal is. Like I feel like
the math's there. Like we sewed this up, right?
And but when it looks like Vance is about to get it, and she has to, it's a last minute guest, like she's supposed to guest. The actual host is sick, probably because he doesn't actually want to do it anymore.
Yeah,
like,
he
it
sounds
feels
bored
like
as fuck with
he
it.
sounds bored, and so they're just going to reschedule. And she's like, "Well," and agent again.
Agent says, "Why not she host?"
Hey, why don't we have her host? And God, I love him this season. And so they have to scramble, and she's working with these writers because I don't think she even does. She have
that
her
phone call was fucking painful. She's got the 2 youngsters that she's hired, and they're not bad, but she's got like a room full of writers, and they're pitching the worst. What if we something about, I forgot what he says, like food, or she's like something about food. Are
What?
you serious?
No, it's a
Like,
wig. Like you wear a wig, right?
You wear a wig, right? Yeah. So something
Maybe
about
something
wigs.
this? Maybe something with that. And she has so she calls Ava, and I'm like, I get it. This is a clinch moment for you. You're desperate.
You have a writer you know gets you, and there aren't very many.
And it's your desperation move, and but you know you've let this person go for the right reason. And like
it feels like a drug relapse.
It exactly. It exactly what it is.
For both of them.
For
when
both
Ava has
of them.
Also, God, that same episode, I hate the fake ring trope. You found a ring in a drawer. I hate that trope, but this was a particularly brutal and funny one.
Yep. I knew you didn't read the graphic novel. I can't follow the boxes.
Yeah, it's not just that it's like, oh, that's the old ring or that's an heirloom ring. It's a ring prop from the show that her girlfriend's on.
You might.
And it's both a misunderstanding, and I love that it reveals that she didn't read the graphic novel.
I get that you're too cool for school or whatever, an alternative, and because even her girlfriend explains like the show that like, oh, she doesn't really know her own power. Like, oh yeah, make a female that doesn't know her own power or whatever.
Like,
well, actually, it's a pretty metaphor for how in society, like, and breaks down the like female empowerment of it.
Like,
and she goes, oh,
actually, that's good. Like,
I'm like,
yes, I'm.
Yeah,
damn,
fuck you,
Ava,
dude.
fuck
like,
you.
And it's like a fake DC show. Like, it's a fake like
Wolf Girl.
Wolf Girl. And I'm like, is it good? Maybe not. But it's a big deal.
When she thinks that she's engaged for that minute, and she comes out while her, number one on the call list on a like Heroes type show is working with a personal trainer doing ropes, and like this dude's just like yelling at her time.
Mm-hmm.
She's stressed and sweating and everything. And Ava comes out to have like the dumbest conversation with her. And like even the trainer's like, can I yell at your girlfriend? I don't.
You just kind of want to go like, honestly, after the third episode on how she's dealing with her girlfriend, I'm like, is Ava stupid?
No, but the same acerbic brain that's always going that allows her at any moment of the night, you can call her up and be like, hey, you're on the clock. What's the funnier line? So that makes her insufferable. When we were talking about, I don't think I'd want to hang out with comics.
Yes. Yeah.
I think I'd maybe one evening, but I don't think I want to like go out every night with a group of comics because they can't turn it
off.
Most comics I've known can't turn it off. They're always trying something. And
honestly, that John Mulaney is where we talked about it.
We were talking about that
because like they showed a segment where they were looking at a house.
Yes.
And it was everything was a bit, and I was like, Jesus Christ. like
oh God.
Sure, the drawer is dead. Let's give it a fucking funeral or whatever they were doing.
Yeah.
But also, she's making a big deal out of this trip they're going to take because she's on her show's going to go on hiatus. And while her girlfriend is working, so it's not quite a vacation, but she's going to go out to Sweden
wherever
or
the fuck they're shooting.
Wherever they're shooting, and hang with her while she's shooting it. And sure, like the girlfriend will be busy because it's like probably a superhero show or whatever.
There is a lot of downtime on sets.
And so like they're gonna
have company there.
They're gonna treat it like a mini vacation.
Right.
And
that's the thing. I mean,
and she makes a big deal out of it. So when Smart has to pitch her on because it's only
I need you to come here now and write.
It's a couple months before they decide who the next host is gonna be. And Jean Smart, rightly so, knows that her best shot is to get Ava back and write for her until
because Ava co-wrote the special that got her here.
Yeah. Yes.
Ava can write
and
in
the
your
special
voice.
is where all the heat's coming from, and she can't. They show it a pretty a good scene early in the first episode where like they don't. She can't workshop new material. Everyone just laughs at anything she says,
Man, that was a great scene. Yeah. Jean Smart walks out with like a book of new material she's trying to workshop, and everybody laughs at like the first half of the sentence. Like, I was with my corgis.
That's not the joke part.
The joke. Fuck.
Which honestly,
she just throws the book down and like, all right.
There is a level, and then Ava reflects it later in a panel she's running of like a woman asks her like, it feels like I'm just never gonna make it or whatever, and Ava goes like, hey, I know it doesn't feel like it, but this is the fun part. The scramble, the race.
You need to learn to enjoy this.
You got to learn to enjoy this, because trust me, you're gonna miss it. And there's a level of like, yeah, because like when you get successful, you can't go back.
Yeah,
like you can't just suddenly become not a name anymore.
Right.
And
like if Taylor Swift were to put out an album that sold like just bombed, sold no copies, she's still Taylor Swift. Famous, not Taylor Swift. She's the same person. She just now fucked up.
Yeah.
And like Deborah, like there's no putting out a bad album and just not being Deborah Vance. There's been Deborah Vance that had a great album and just put out a shitter. Like that's
I like the idea that you're so focused on getting to where you want to be, your goals, and to the top of the mountain, and you don't realize that, yes, but that means that where you are now is the best you'll ever be.
Well, I mean,
you might get more successful, but this is the sharpest and the scrappiest you will ever be in your career.
Yeah. There's also to extend the weird hiking metaphor. There's a lot of times when you're hiking where you can catch yourself just staring at your feet, like just being tired and like, I just got to walk, and just, where are we heading to? It's like another mile. Let's just keep going. And the whole fucking point of hiking is to look around and look at the woods. And I mean, like, it's 2024. If you just need to get a place, you can get to most places faster than foot.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
There are like the point of this is the looking around, and like there's something to that on the career journey as well, of like, I know this is aggravating and you want to be done. I mean, we're in the middle of shit in our careers where like I would like to be at the next point, but also I will never quite be in this weird point again.
Right.
And whatever enjoyment there is to be wrung out of it, fucking find it.
You gotta, yeah. Where I know the show actually knows their metaphor is the roast, because I'm like, man, this feels like a addiction. And where I know that comes together is that the roast, when she goes to the AA meeting and she becomes the center of the focus at the AA meeting.
Like, okay, I can't even, yeah.
Like, I'm like, I know that it's physically impossible for you, but don't do this. Turn it off.
Right.
Like, all you have to do is say, I love you, honey, and I'm proud of you. Give her the stupid chip, shut the fuck up, and sit down.
Right.
Like,
right. I cannot express how much this room is not about you.
And the daughter is surprised, rightfully mad at her. And everyone thinks she's gonna fuck up and be embarrassed, and then suddenly her fucking roast kills. Just kills. Catchphrase and everything.
Yeah.
What a cunt.
Yeah, and that's Sweet D is the daughter, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And she gets down, and she, as an addict, she recognizes the feeling. And she goes, I get it, Mom. I finally understand why you weren't there for me as a kid.
Like, it wasn't a drug, it was this.
This
is your drug.
This is it. And I liked it because it was one character being like off her chest, like able to forgive her parent because she finally got it. Like, this isn't really on you. You're broken.
I thought you were a normal person just choosing to be
shitty,
but you're like me.
But you're like me. And it's one character being freed and just completely set at ease by it, and another character realizing how broken they are. And then, of course, she goes like, yeah, but there's no AA meeting for this.
No, this is success.
If you go to the AA meeting for this, it would feed into it. The AA meeting is the addiction.
Right.
You'll never be free of this.
Yeah.
Woo!
Like, there's no out for this. Fuck.
Man, the way she lays it out is like bleak.
Like, oh, that's bad.
And dark.
God, speaking of bleak and dark, one of the best lines out of Vance's fake special in the show is, so yes, for my career, I missed my daughter's first steps.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm the reason she took 12 more.
12 more. Man, honestly, like,
boom,
fucking it. I'm like, man, that is funny.
Oh, fucking
like
solid.
that hits
Fucking
pretty
solid.
good. Also, I love the like May December friendship of Ava and Deborah
Deborah.
sometimes of like I can't believe you didn't respond to me for 9 months. I sent you some pretty particularly special memes, like what, the yellow guy in the fucking hedge. That is Homer Simpson. You pay your respect.
You put some respect on the name.
Like,
Just, I was thinking about that earlier. Of like you with the yellow guy in the green carpet.
like that's how old Deborah
that's
Vance is.
Homer Simpson.
That's a hope. Like he's a legendary
stop it.
sitcom dad. Like if you're in comedy at all, like
stop
what the
it.
fuck?
I know you're just.
I
Being,
know you're fucking
I
with
know
me.
You're fucking being weird.
The Helen Hunt just like, oh yeah, I know your dad. I fucked him. After the divorce, mine.
After my
not
divorce,
sure about yours. And he just
and through the only thing he can ask for the rest of the conversation. What year?
so what year was it?
Year?
Was it after 96?
And like they're like, so how do you think that went? It's probably fine. It was probably after the divorce. None of us care about that, dude.
No,
It's
I care
the
about
only
it.
thing he can think about is like, wait, what?
Meets him later for pickleball. Like, oh hi, like we met before. Like, yeah, you admitted that or revealed
Told me
that
about
you
you
fucked my
yeah.
dad. And, like, when was that, by the way? What was the timeline on that? And man, they signed this new hot talent off of a thing. They, off of stage 4. They think.
No, that's right. His show wasn't on stage 4. He has
Like, no, the
Stage
name of the show
is
is stage 4 because this motherfucker has cancer. And they're here and they're telling him like, man, we're here for your career. We're gonna be for you. Like, we have Deborah Vance. We want you to be at that same place in your 70s. Wow, you guys are
like your
very
optimism
optimistic.
like he's about to cry. Like your optimism is so inspiring.
It's
to me.
very inspiring.
Like,
because I got to tell you, a lot of agents have really not been interested in going forward with me.
Yeah. Matt Bush is the name of the kid that plays it. He's fucking hilarious. There was a sitcom a few years ago that ran for 1 year with Crystalia and some other comics on it, called Glory Days. I think it was the first place that I ever noticed him. He's gonna have the stature where he's gonna play a fucking 22-year-old for the rest of his life. Like he's gonna be that kid actor, even though I'm sure that man is 30. But yeah, seeing him pop up here, I was like, man, you're slightly too recognizable to me to just go away. So I'm glad they're going to keep him on the show at least a little bit.
Well, I mean, they have to commit now to
for as long as he,
because after they get that after they get that revealed to them, it's not like they can go back on it now.
No,
like,
they've already been.
So they're like, all right, I guess we go have drinks with them.
They've,
Hey, looking good, bud.
flat
Looking
lied
very
about
healthy.
having seen the show. When he's like, let's go get some drinks. Well, I shouldn't, but you know what?
I shouldn't.
What's it gonna do?
I mean, good point.
Yeah. I fall off this show, but it's so funny.
You haven't seen the latest episode.
No,
so
I'm one behind.
I actually like what that one does. I haven't finished it, but up till the end, she hangs out with some old comics she never got to hang with back in the day. They go and hang out in Vegas every couple years for a colonoscopy or whatever. It's a fucking dumb old guy thing. Hilarious.
That's
great.
hilarious though.
And it reveals that, like, because they start cracking jokes and cracking wise, like, oh man, if I knew you were gonna fucking roast this guy, I would have invited you a long time ago. And then they start to get on, like, what was it? Bisexuals or whatever. Like, I guess, like, I had my son draw me what they thought would be a wife or whatever, and like I didn't even know what it was. And they start cracking jokes about, not even like current woke things of like,
right.
Like, wait, are you still bitching about bisexuals? Like, what? Most of the women there are just performative and want attention. And I'm like, how old are? Oh, you're all very old.
My God, like you're bitching about wokeness from 2000.
From 2000, like you're a whole 2 decades behind.
Oh my Lord!
And Jean Smart basically gets in and just like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? And you realize that because she's hanging out with Ava, she's at a different
place on all these issues.
All these issues, and basically just is more in touch. She's not
entirely in touch. I mean, like, we saw her bomb that lesbian cruise.
Absolutely. But she's more in touch than these old fucks.
Right.
And of course she has to, like, she can't not say anything now because it's like not really funny to her. Like,
right.
Like, it's like, well, I mean, that's
she
pretty.
Could destroy this group.
And she basically does, like,
Awesome.
well, I haven't,
Because like, yeah, I don't want to get in a conversation with like Jerry Seinfeld about
and she like,
all this.
and it's like, it's on one level, it's sucks because like she finally gets to do a thing she never got to
I
do,
want to hang out with all these old comics.
and
yeah.
now she gets to realize like, oh yeah, you all fucking
Fucking
suck. Oh man. And I want to go to her too of like, okay, now the feeling you're feeling right now. Now imagine what younger people, when they're in a room with you, what they might
You're
feel.
so close. You're
like
so close.
Like you're really you man, I can't believe how out of touch these old comics are and how insensitive they are to things, even when they straight up ask you to not to talk about it. And I just want to be able to go like, yeah, must be hard.
I remember seeing a picture once of right at the start of pandemic of a gym that had moved all of its Peloton bikes outside and put a little tent over them. And it was like, guys, you're so fucking close.
Man,
You're so close to actually riding a bicycle. I think it's always the image that pops into my head whenever I see people that are like almost.
Oh, yeah, nearly there. Missed it by that much. Also,
So-
Ava basically makes the deal with her because she doesn't like she's about to destroy her relationship with her girlfriend over
Absolutely.
this. So she lays down some ground rules, like, you can't make fun of me for these things anymore or whatever. And it's a cute scene, but it also explains like why they're kind of toxic. Is that Jean Smart agrees to it and then texts her jokes to the housekeeper so that she can say them.
Oh man, it took me a moment to realize that you don't mean that like, well, I still need an outlet, so I'm just gonna text it to this random woman that I'm just trying to be shitty to.
No.
But like, no.
She can come in the room.
I'm gonna make a proxy, like you walk in and say,
Ava,
Ava, blah, blah,
your
blah,
hair
blah,
looks
blah.
like a kindergarten boy trying to impress a girl. Like,
I just thought you had a child's wig on backwards.
it's a child.
You're not gonna say anything about my hair? What? I thought it was a wig. I thought you had a child's wig on backwards.
See, there you go.
There it is. Oh man, Hacks is fucking hilarious. If you still have Max and are getting ready for My Adventures with Superman, go hit play on it wherever you thought you were. Go back 2 episodes further and just catch back up on Hacks. It's fucking awesome. God, what a
Absolutely.
great show.
Fucking A.
Well, I think that's about it for us for now. Let's tune in next week, and we're going to talk about the finale of X-Men 97 with
All
special
right.
guest Kyle Scott.
Assemble my TV dudes.
To me, my TV dudes.
To me, my dudes. Well, and while you're at it, don't forget to head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/TV dudes, to hear what we thought about Fall Guy.
Oh man. So
It's
Spoiler
real.
alert, it's so good.
It's well, man, a fun movie that I feel like not enough of you are seeing. So
No.
definitely
Yeah.
do yourself
Just
a favor.
Come hear the unbridled joy.
And until next time.
TV dudes out.